looks good to me, buddy. Friday, November 13th. Back out in the Midwest. We've been hunting a couple days now. I got a little report from Chris Cobbett and Kenneth. They're out in Montana. They did a stalk on a elk and didn't get a chance to get a shot at it this morning. This is their first morning, but they were stoked. They saw a bunch. Our boy Dan this morning, he smoked ourselves one of those 6.5-year-old 8 points. Actually turned out to be a 9 point. It has 10-inch bases. We have done a phenomenal job so far this year getting rid of those, what we call farm killer deer that are 6.5 years old, 5.5 years old, weighing 250 pounds plus, but have really heavy mass horns, but they'll never go over 150 ever. So we're down. I got an 18-mile-an-hour wind this afternoon. The rut's just kicking in, and we picked the bottom down here. First of all, because it's one of the few places you can hunt on a southeast wind, and secondly, it's out of the wind. We won't see a lot of traffic, but if we do see something, it'll probably be a shooter. It's that spot, that kind of spot. Well, pretty exciting day so far today. Tyler and I sat down on Paul's old stand, and it was about 18 degrees this morning with a southeast wind, and this morning was like dead quiet. For the first hour we didn't see much, then after that all hell broke loose. We had some bucks chasing does and does running around. The ruts actually, I think, truly kicked in. This cold snap that came through the last 24 to 36 hours kicked them in. So we're down now. We have that same southeast wind. And where we sat yesterday in the last 2 days is only about 300 yards from here. But that's for north wind. So we're on the other end for the south wind. It's not quite as exciting over here. We won't see as much. But this is where those big bucks went through. And so it's a little bit of a gamble, but with the southeast wind, that's about all we got. These are where the two big bucks are, actually three, but two for sure that are scurrying around down here chasing doe. So this is where we want to be. It's just like finding the right place at the right time and hoping they're not hooked up with a doe and locked down someplace. So it happens here. I know I say this a lot, but that's the way we hunt. It's going to happen quick. There's not going to be a lot of B-roll on this one. So Tyler, keep your eyes open. Matt. You see him? Hold on, hold on. I'm pretty sure he went down right there. How'd that shot look? I think he went down right there. I couldn't feel my nose button. He came all the way across that field. All the way across. I could see him when he got to the fence there, and I saw him move back and forth 2 or 3 times. He either couldn't jump over the fence. I gotta keep looking for a second, sorry. Come on, where you at? Where is he at? Come on. It was higher than I wanted it. I had a 30-yard. I went 3 or 4 times back and forth. I couldn't feel the nose button on my nose. When I saw him through the trees there, I saw him like, 2 or 3 times. That means he stopped. But I didn't see him fall. I couldn't see. All I could see was just bits and pieces. He was staying on the north side of the farm almost all year. And then towards the end of the summer and towards the fall, as it started getting later in the year, he started moving down here. He got another 14 point in here that lives up in this direction too. So I didn't think both of them would stay, but so far they have. And this morning at 11:30, he crossed right here. And like I said earlier, this isn't a place where you're gonna see a ton of activity, but if you see something, it's gonna be one of these bucks chasing does, right? We're sitting here. I got in early. Dan killed his big buck this morning, so we got in here early. And I knew we had to get, because I'd have stayed in the tree all day, actually, if Dan wouldn't have shot. But we had a southeast wind, and this is one of the few spots we have for good southeast wind. I saw something move over there, and I saw a buck. And I said, that's Razor. He's 400, 450, 500 yards away. And I didn't know if he was tending a doe or not. He kept looking. He kept moving. So I said, to hell with it. I rattled. And then I lost him. I was like, because I got to be careful because I can see the field, and I didn't want him seeing me rattling, so I had to turn my back this way. And then the wind was blowing, so I don't know if he'd hear me. And I lost him. And I was like, well, maybe he was turning a doe. And next thing you know, Tyler goes, here he comes. He walked straight across the field. It's amazing. We're 500 yards away. And he came right to the tree, I kept pulling back. When I pulled back, I couldn't feel my nose button on my nose was cold. The nose button. And so I released anyway, and I shot a little high, but I don't think he jumped the fence. I don't think he did. I think he got it. All right. We're out of the tree. I haven't watched the video yet, but I know I shot him a little bit high. He ducked. I shot high. But it doesn't look like it's in no man's land according to Tyler, so we're going to take a quick look at it. Then we're going to get out of here. I want to just go check, see if my arrow's over there. And then we're gonna get out of here and go look out on the big screen and make a decision where we come back in and see if we can find him. I saw shadows as he got to the fence up there about 150 yards, and I don't think he jumped over it. If he tried to slide under it, he might have, but I saw 2 or 3 shadows at that point. So I'm hoping that he couldn't jump over, and that was the situation, but he's a big boy. Looks good to me, buddy. So, we looked at the video a couple times. Looks like it's a pretty good hit. I couldn't see him jump the fence. I saw like 2 or 3 shadow movements right at the fence, about 150 yards. We're hoping and praying that that's where he's at. I'm stoked. We called him in all the way across the field. One of the 2 deer that we were trying to kill, and just I gotta love it whenever you're out in Kansas and they talk to you like that and you can bring them in. It's so cool. All right, let's leave this here. Well, it's the proverbial morning after. We looked at our shots multiple times. We think we got him in the lungs. It might be a little high lungs. He ducked pretty heavy. We rattled him in, so that's the first thing. He's looking, when he comes in, he's on alert. Then I had to grunt to stop him. He was kind of had a mission. We're looking for who or what was ever down there. So I had to grunt to stop him, and I shot on the lower third, but he ducked pretty good by the time the arrow got there. So we decided to leave him overnight. Our biggest fear leaving them overnight here is always the same: coyotes. We have a lot of coyotes, and specifically concentrated around that area. I know of at least 4 dens. So we hope that the coyotes didn't get to him. So that's where we're going down. Hopefully he's laying there by that fence. That's the last time I saw him. I didn't see him jump over that fence. So that's usually a sign that he's pumping some blood. So fingers crossed. Let's go, Daniel.
Ready? Get your stuff in here.
Okay, our tree stands right there. You can see our trophy tree stand sitting there. We're sitting there, snugged in there. We're only probably 12 feet off the ground, but you can see the reason we did that so we don't get higher and get skyline from the cedars. No cedars. They have a 3D effect. Once we got the small ones out front, as you can see, a deer walks through here and he sees these trees, the trees in front, and then the ones behind. It makes it really hard for them to see us, even though we feel wide open. Here's my arrow right behind him. We got this little tree right in front of the ranger here is where he went through this trail right there. And then he went back along the fence. So see if we can pick his trail up here. Find our big boy. Let's see. You got it over there, Dan?
He's right over here. He may have jumped the fence.
So he did jump the fence.
Well, see if he went that way, Mark.
Where you got blood at? Dan? Hey.
Oh, baby. Got a boy.
Hit me, baby.
Congratulations.
Yes. He went.
Not far.
Not far.
Not far. Not very far.
Yes. I was like, there's the creek. You know he went to the creek, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's so many times that we know in our head the deer's dead, but we won't say it. Just won't jinx ourselves, will we, Dano?
Nope.
I saw him get to this fence, and I saw him like do like spin arounds or turn around. 2 or 3 times I saw his shadow move back and forth. If a whitetail deer's not mortally wounded, he won't do that. He's gone. He's going to run until he can't run anymore. So in my head, I knew he had to be right here. And there's this little cedar tree that I picked out that I last saw him right here, 10 yards away. So, boom, Razor's dead.
You gained some.
Look at this, huh? Look at these things.
That's
8 inches.
unbelievable.
Get a little extra kicker here, a little extra 2 inches there, Craig.
Yeah, you said it's fun to sit behind them.
Uh-huh.
I've been sitting behind mine too, except for if I'm in a tree stand, they just don't show up.
This is the best part, always is, when you're sitting behind them. Deer called Razor, who basically lived on the north part of our farm almost all year. And then towards the end of the summer, he moved down here to the southern end, along with 2 other big bucks. And I was like, there's no way all 3 of these bucks are gonna stay here. And we've had this happen so many times. We killed this deer within 10 hours, believe it or not. There was another buck in here. Gatekeeper was in here. He hit every one of the scrapes that this deer was hitting. He hit them all. I don't know how they know or what's going on, but one goes, the other one replaces it. But this deer's probably 6.5, 7.5-year-old. He was on the hit list. Obviously, he's not real wide, but boy, does he make it up for time length. He's got that cage look, and look at those brows. They're crazy. Dan killed one yesterday. Jump in here, Dan. Come on in. Dan killed a, I don't know how old that thing was.
That thing seemed ancient.
it was a 8-point. Actually, it turned out to be a 9-point because it had a hooker on it, little kicker. And his bases were 10 inches. Those deer there will run these deer off. They have that temperament. They have the horns that won't break, and they just love to fight. So Dan came in, Chris shot one, Kenneth shot a nice big old stud in the beginning of the year. So we've had a great year here in Kansas. I mean, this thing's just, you can't say enough. This deer we saw last night, you can't see where I'm pointing to, but I'm pointing back here to this corner. We're 500 yards, just shy of 500 yards away. Saw him cruising the corner. I took the horns out, turned my back so he couldn't see me rattle. I rattled, and within about 7 to 8 minutes later, he was right to the tree. I mean, right at the tree. The only reason we left him overnight because he ducked quite a bit. At 25 yards, he ducked, but we wanted to make sure he was dead. But he did. I watched him fall. I just didn't really. Oh, I couldn't confirm it. Couldn't see him from the tree. So he was here since last night. But what a stud! Never apologize for your God-given right to hunt. Hit me, Dano. Yeah, baby. How pretty is he, Craig, huh?
Finished out. Tagged.
Bam. Let's make him closer, a little bit closer. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. That wasn't as easy that time. Once again, I got a fucking leg out here. I keep getting stuck, guys. Go ahead. Okay, we get through. Okay, we're good.
It'll even out, you're right. It'll even out, Dan. If not, be better, huh?
I think it will.